Question for Rob from DJ Spacehopper says, would you talk about your friendship with the Ultimate Warrior, how they met, and what your favourite memories of Ultimate Warrior are?
And you want this to be quick?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, that was just for the weed ones. I mean, because there was loads.
Okay.
But no, yeah, as long as you need.
This was like a lifetime kind of a full circle thing. I grew up loving the Dingo Warrior. When I first saw him at a live show before he was on TV, I was telling all my friends at school about him. They weren't at the live shows and they didn't know who he was because he wasn't on TV yet. But I was so taken by his intensity and his look. There wasn't any really big jacked up guys like that back then. I guess Butch Reed, superstar Billy Graham, they still didn't look exactly like him. He was like Rick Rude with ballooned up muscles, whatever it was, his energy was so captivating. And I told you I was into Greek mythology too, like in high school, and he would do these promos when I thought maybe he was a reincarnated Achilles. I really did. I was like, he's got his spirit, and in fact, when I wrestled before I was actually trained by the Sheik, I don't know if you know this or not. I've recently came across a poster and I put it on my Instagram. But for a couple of years before I was actually professionally trained, when I was kickboxing, me and my friends would wrestle. We would set the chairs up, set the ring up. We'd wrestle first match, a choreographed match, maybe have a fight with someone, maybe a planned fight, and then stand around if anybody from the crowd wanted an extra fight, because it was a drunk crowd, because the kickboxing shows were at parties and bars. And anyway, during that time, there was a time when I called myself the Battle Creek Barbarian, and I took Sharpie and painted my face, put some shoelaces. I'm like, whoa, what? Okay, yeah, we can talk about that. No, but anyway, I Battle Creek Barbarian, and so I had just seen him as a fan and been close to him by getting a picture through his window when he was getting in his car that I still have. But it was years later when a gentleman by the name of Andrew Wright, he was doing a documentary on the Ultimate Warrior, and they were talking about me, and Warrior was going to be having this return to wrestling after like 10 years, and he was going to wrestle Orlando Jordan.
Yeah, it was in Spain. I remember that. It was like a 20-minute match as well.
Yeah, I wrestled for that company in Spain as well, but I don't think I was on that show. Anyway, so he wanted, Andrew said Warrior really respects you. He wants to know if he comes to, would you get in the ring and train with him? And either they volunteered or I said he'd have to come here, to LA. I'm not gonna, where I was living at the time. He said, yeah, if he flies in, I was like, sure. I had a couple of demands. One of them was I wanted to record it for RVD TV. Man, we rode to Jesse Hernandez's wrestling school out in San Bernardino from the airport. And I was just like, man, this guy's just being cool as can be. He's being really respectful, and he had a reputation for going crazy around that time at some of the things. And so I was like, man, and I'd already told my guy in the back seat, if he freaks out when I light a joint up, make sure you get this on film because I'm not going to put it out, and I lit the joint up because I'm driving, and looking over at him, I'm just kind of letting the moment build. And he's like, how often do you smoke? Well, I said, every day. He said, he goes, you smoke like before you work out every time? I said, absolutely. And then he was just asking questions, like he was curious, like, wow, you're able to do that, and what do you get out of it, and this and that. So I started educating him a little bit, and man, we bonded so well. As far as the workout went, we did very little. I mean, I stretched. I put everybody through my full hour stretch, so they were done by then anyway. Like you mentioned earlier, it's double workout. But he really just wanted to kind of run the ropes a little bit, and I was trying to help him where I could. But it wasn't like, at the time, it seems like it got out that RVD was training the Ultimate Warrior for his big return, and it really was just a couple hours in the ring. He was super cool. I took him back to the airport, and then I got to know him a little bit at the end there when he was in WWE. I talked to him at the WrestleMania before he passed away. I was in his press box, got to shake his hand and just talk to him for a little bit. After he passed away, his wife, maybe it was at the Hall of Fame, one of them, she was telling me, I don't know if you know this, but Warrior always followed your career. He was such a big fan of yours. I'm like, what? I had no idea. And she said, I don't know if you remember this, but you were on a independent show in Las Vegas, like in '95. Of course I remember. I was like, of course I remember. Ultimate Warriors. I was at the Aladdin. And she says, yes, he saw you. He was watching you. And yeah, I'm getting goosebumps now telling it. And I guess I don't know why, but that's just what the energy does. But anyway, I was extremely flattered because I wrestled for this company out here. He was on the show. He was rumored to have taken all the money and left. Which is why other people didn't get paid that night. And I told his wife, and she laughed that somebody would say that. But I had no idea that he remembered me still from that show, because I don't even think I talked to him, and I wasn't, he was the main event, I'm sure. But anyway, he always followed. I said, well, now that makes sense why he wanted to reach out and wanted me to be in the ring with him and stuff. So that was a full circle experience for me.
Yeah, do you know, I think the promotion's called like NWF or something, and they were bringing like
NWC.
NWC, I'm sorry. And then it was like Sabu was going, Jim Neidhart was there, Honky, I think.
Yeah, Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
They used a bunch of ex-WWE wrestlers, and there was a guy out here, a local guy named Buffalo Bill, and he used to run the shows before TC Martin took over. And Buffalo Bill, he had a very famous feud here with the local mobsters from Chicago. Rick Rizzolo, who ran the strip club, Crazy Horse 2, and Buffalo Bill's office was on the corner of that building, and the mobsters wanted to get rid of him and tried everything. And he was out there filming everything they were doing, beating people up in the parking lot, prostitution, drugs, whatever, turning it into the FBI. They had a really famous head-to-head, and then Buffalo Bill ended up dead. If you look at the October 2023 season of Unsolved Mysteries, there's an episode that I highly recommend called Death in a Hotel. And it's the story about what I'm telling you right here. So anyone listening, boom, there's the facts. As you can tell, weed totally has erased my memory.
Oh, hopefully you won't forget this one then, because I remember just in the back of my head there was a video of you and you doing an impression of the Ultimate Warrior, and I think in the background there was like a MMA cage or something, and you go and
that was during this training. That was this day. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what I was gonna do, so it was just ad lib. He's like, well, what are you gonna say? I go, I'm just gonna be you. Because I didn't really know what I was going to say. I go, just stand over there and then just, I'm going to be going, just come in and cut me off. Like, that's all I told him. So he kind of had to like sneak in, like, Rob, what? And I don't remember what I did. I was just like, it was just a lot of fun. It's just commitment, super intense.
Hey, all I remember at the beginning was, you've always got to start it with that if you're going to do a warrior thing.